It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
This is a Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 195. Let's start off the year right.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He'll jump on you when you need a pat on the back. Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contractor agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
What's up, everybody? Pat Flynn here. Thank you so much for joining me today. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody out there. Thank you for those of you who are coming back to the show. If you are listening to this for the first time, thank you for coming on. What we do here is we share information to help you move forward in your business. And we do it in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's a solo show, but a lot of times, and actually the crowd favorite, is featuring success stories from listeners and readers of the Smart Passive Income blog. And I have another one of those for you today. This is Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com. I love sharing these success stories in spaces outside of I'm just teaching people how to build a business space. And, there's a lot of those, but there's a ton more of people who are building incredible businesses and niches outside of that. They just don't have an opportunity or a platform to share their success stories. And that's what I'm doing here. And actually, this year, I'm going to be sharing a lot more success stories just like this one. These are the ones that I hear that people love the most. They take the most action because of them, because they feel that they can relate better to them. And so I hope you're going to feel the same way after listening to Carrie. She is somebody who's built a business she'll tell the whole story. I'm just going to get right into it because we're going to start off the new year right and just help you out. So here we go. This is Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com, an amazing success story with a lot of great tips and actionable items to help you in your business too. So here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat Flynn here, and I'm so happy to be talking with Carrie Clark today, somebody who emailed me with a very special message, and I want to share that with you. But first, let's just welcome Carrie to the show. Carrie, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show.
So tell me about this email you sent me. The first one you sent, literally the title of the subject line of the email was, "I'm finally worthy of being a Pat Flynn success story," which obviously caught my eye, and I read it. It was awesome. Tell me let's tell everybody what that means.
All right. So when I started my online business, which was about 3 years ago now, I kind of had this dream because I started it because I was listening to your podcast and you had inspired me to start this. And I had this kind of image in my head of like, okay, one day my business is going to be so successful that Pat Flynn is going to want to have me on his show. And so I finally got to the point in August of this year where I thought, you know what? I think I'm there. So I sent you an email and you replied rather quickly and were like, yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. Yeah. And I'm going to be featuring more of these success stories down the road. And I just love this. And so first of all, I'm just thankful that you not only listened to the SPI podcast for over 3 years now, but also took action. This just shows what happens when you take this advice and you actually put it into practice. Now, 3 years is actually quite a long time for some people. And, a lot of people in this space are hoping for overnight success and stuff like that. So I think there's a great story I want to get out of you in terms of how you started. So you listened to the show, you decided to get started. Where did you even start back then?
Well, it's kind of a long story. And before I go into all of it, I just want to say when I was imagining myself being a success story, I wanted to be the one to tell the story of sometimes it takes a while and you just have to be patient with yourself. Because I remember listening to some of the success stories on your show and thinking, well, I'm working just as hard as that guy and he got there in 6 months. Why is it taking me so long? So my story is one of patience and persistence, and hopefully that will inspire others to keep taking action even when you feel like you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, thank you for that, Carrie. But before we get into your story, what is success to you? Like when you say you finally reached a point of success, what does that mean?
Well, my big marker for success was being able to do full-time website because I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family and have control over what I was doing with my life. And so that was my big point of, okay, if I can do this, I'm going to consider myself successful. And I actually quit my job in May of this year. And I know, it was so exciting. And then a couple months after that, I got to the point where I had my first $10,000 plus month. Wow. And that was when I emailed you because it was like, okay, I have this figured out and this is going to actually pay our family's bills. So that was my success.
Well, congratulations to you, Carrie.
Thank you.
This is so exciting. I'm excited about how excited you are. You can hear it in your voice. And so let's go back to the beginning. You said it was a long story. Let's try and narrow it down.
Sure.
What did you do?
Okay, so in the summer of 2012, I should back up. I'm a speech therapist by training. I went to school for speech therapy. I got a job with my ideal group of kiddos right out of college. I was working with preschoolers, which is just my favorite age, and I was working with the public schools. And it was a little disillusioning from what I imagined it. First of all, when you're in school for speech pathology, they say, "Oh, this is such a great field to be in. You start off at like $60,000 a year." And then what they don't tell you is if you work in the schools, you get paid the same as a teacher, which if you know any teachers is not super.
Right. It's super underserved is what they are.
Yes. So, the money was not as good as I was hoping. And there's just a lot of politics when you work in the schools. The government tells you a lot of what you can and can't do and who you can treat and who you cannot. And I had a lot of trouble with seeing children that needed to be helped and having to tell their parents, look them in the eyes and say, "I'm not allowed to help your child." So I had, and not all of it's like that, but there were definitely enough situations that I was feeling a little frustrated with the job. And so over one of my summer breaks, and that was in, 2012, I was just kind of looking around for information on how to make my money go a little farther. And I came across your podcast and started listening to it and was just instantly like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. And so at that point, during that summer, I started the online website, which is speechandlanguagekids.com. I started that. And I also started my own private practice because I knew that it was going to take a while to get the website off the ground. So I just started seeing extra students for speech therapy after my school hours. So for about a year, I continued to work full-time at the schools. And then I would see one or two clients in my home after school. And then after that, I would work on my website.
Wow, you're working hard.
Yes. And fortunately for me, I have a super supportive husband that knew that this was my passion and my dream. And he totally supported me and was fine with me spending so much time doing that. And I cannot thank him enough for that support that he gave me, that he's given me all the way through, but especially right at the beginning when it was so hard.
He sounds amazing.
He is.
And that support system is really important, actually. Let's talk about that really quick. Like, how did you... is this something he always knew you wanted to do? And even when you were getting online, when you weren't seeing success, was he supportive, or were there any kind of like, oh, well, you aren't making any money with this yet, so can we not?
Well, to be honest, I actually started an online business before I found you, and it was a total and complete disaster. I was trying to make speech therapy materials in my apartment and mail them to people.
Oh, wow. Direct
It was just, oh my gosh, it was terrible. And that was when we started dating, was when I was doing that. So I think by comparison, he was like, wow, this seems like a way better idea. So yeah, I mean, he was definitely supportive of seeing that this was something I was interested in and like, hey, whatever works, go for it. And then, as we get a little farther in my story, there were definitely points where we had to have talks about like, okay, are we ready to make this next leap? And he always 100% was just like, if you think you can do it, then I believe you. And we can always go back and try something else if it doesn't work. So
that's cool. Yeah, I think that's a big thing people have to realize is a lot of times it's not if you fail, it's over and everything's done.
Yeah.
It's if you fail, then we'll just try again or try something else. And I think, in our minds, we always think it's one extreme or the other.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so you started your online site, you're doing your private practice. Like, where did you go from there?
And working at the schools.
And working at the schools. Yeah. When did things start to kind of change direction for you from there?
So I did that for a year where I was working all three of those gigs. And then when it came time to re-sign my contract for the next school year, that was a big sit-down moment with my husband. And I said, I think I can make this work. I think if I work on the private practice and the website, I think between the two, I can bring in as much money as I was bringing in through the public schools. And so we decided I was going to just quit my job. And I went to the end of that school year, which would have been May of 2013, and kind of set off on my own. And actually, I got an office for my private practice. So I was seeing clients in an office instead of my home, which was fabulous.
That's cool.
And so then for about another 2 years, I was doing it started off with a majority of my money coming from the private practice. And then I was just working on the website on the side. And then over the course of 2 years, the website grew and grew and grew. And by May of this year, I was making about $3,000 a month on the website. And so that was the point where I thought, okay, if I devoted all of my time to this website, I know I can make that a very sustainable income. And so that was when I actually quit the private practice too and stopped seeing clients altogether, closed the office, and just started working out of my home doing just full-time website. And within a couple months, I had it up to that $10,000 that I was looking for.
That's very cool. And beyond that, you said you have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule in terms of time with the family and all that stuff too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have a 20-month-old boy right now who is all over the place and into everything. So
right, aren't
he
they
needs
all?
a lot of attention.
That's so awesome. That's an amazing story, and I'm so thankful for again that you're here to share it. Now, so it's funny because when you mentioned you quit your job, I thought you meant your teacher job, but you quit that first and then your own private practice.
Yes.
And this reminds me of how a lot of people actually start online businesses. And they don't necessarily start their, quote, private practice, but they might do something like freelancing, where it's their own stuff, but you still are trading time for money at that point. And then they kind of transition into a website or something online. And so I'm curious now, in terms of your website, speechandlanguagekids.com, what are your monetization strategies? How are you able to grow that? Actually, let's go into the history of that website. So when did it start? What was that process like? And kind of how did it grow into something profitable?
Okay, so when I started it, I pretty much was just going with the idea of pumping out content until it had enough to make it, a really good, robust website. So I was probably putting out 2 to 3 new articles each week and just going through all of the different questions that parents ask me about speech therapy. And I actually started it intending to target parents of children with speech and language delays. So I had a bunch of information for parents on there. And later, and I don't even remember when this was, but at one point I started actually keeping track of who was coming to my website, whether it was parents or speech therapists. And I found out that it was actually like 80% speech therapists that were coming to my website.
Oh, no way.
So I totally had to change directions without alienating the rest of my audience, which was a challenge. But yeah, so I started it for parents, and I didn't actually, I had tried a couple ways to monetize it early on. I tried affiliate links, and people just didn't buy through them. So I just didn't have much going on there. I tried, I made all of those little speech therapy products that I had made in my apartment and mailed to people before. I turned those into digital products and sold those for a couple bucks on the website. And yeah, I was getting a couple bucks here or there, but it just wasn't, it was not anything to live off of. So I eventually ended up turning those into, you just had to give me your email address to get them. And that was huge for growing my email list. So that helped quite a bit. But I didn't actually start monetizing well until December of 2013. So that was a little over a year into it. I finally finished my first ebook. And
Nice.
The first month that was released, I made about $1,500 off of that. So I think that was the first month I didn't lose money on the website. And, I was losing $10, $15, just the hosting fees, really.
Right.
So it wasn't like I was pouring a whole bunch of money into it. But that was the first month that I actually started making money off of it. And that was, well over a year after just pumping out free content over and over again until I had a following. So
how did you sell that ebook? So you create the ebook and then...
I sent an email to my list and I just said, hey guys, I got this finally made. Anybody interested? And people bought it.
Were you at all worried that nobody would be interested?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for being honest.
I had spent so much time writing it, and I'm pretty sure that was all while I was pregnant was while I was writing that. So it was definitely a labor of love. And to actually see people buying it and the money coming in was just, oh my gosh, it was mind blowing.
That's very cool. And then from there, I see you're doing other things now, like membership
Yes.
sites and stuff like that.
Yeah. So since that first book, I've written 2 other ebooks that are selling pretty well on the website. And then just this last January, I started a membership portion, and that has been huge. That is really taking off. I think what spurred that was I was listening to one of your podcasts, and I couldn't even tell you what episode it was, but one of them about membership sites, and someone was saying, here's these membership site ideas, and here's why membership sites are awesome. And then I'd also listened to one of your podcasts about the minimal viable product. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that minimal viable product. Yep.
Yeah. So I was kind of mulling these things over and I thought, well, what could I do that people would pay a monthly fee for? And I said, well, I can answer questions and I can do webinars. So I put together a sales page for the membership site and I said, I will answer one member's question every day with a short video, like a 5 to 10 minute video. I will do a monthly webinar on whatever topic you guys want me to, and I'll put together a Facebook group so we can all chat and kind of support each other. So this was targeted for speech therapists, just to kind of help make your job a little easier. And I put up kind of a beta test in December of last year and priced it at $40 a month. I was kind of like, well, I don't know what to price it. Let's try 40. And I just had like a handful of people that were interested at that price. So I actually let them in and kind of ran it for a month to see how it went. And then I refunded all their money and I said, hey, you guys are going to be my members for life because you helped me get this started.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
then in January, I launched it to everyone. And I launched it at $9 a month the first month, and then those people got to lock in their $9 a month if they paid in the first month, and then everybody since then has been coming in at $18 a month. So I got about 100 people into the group in that first month when it was down at $9 a month, and I've gotten 300 or 400 more people since then. So we're up to close to 500 members now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What platforms are you using to manage that membership site?
So I have Wishlist Member set up on WordPress.
Okay.
And that's how I am password protecting all of the content. And then I have Infusionsoft is the shopping cart. And so those two are integrated so that they communicate back and forth. Let's see. I think those are the main ones.
And then you said the community was on Facebook, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I thought about doing a forum and I was like, well, people are already on Facebook. So I did the Facebook, and I have had a couple people complain that they're not on Facebook and they wanted access. But for the most part, Facebook has worked just fine for that part.
And how important is that group to the membership site?
I did a survey a while back to see what pieces of the membership that people were interested in. And I had, a good portion of people that were interested in the Facebook, but definitely not everyone's using it or really interested in it. I think the biggie is the webinars and then the training videos when people have questions.
Okay, that's really cool. I'm actually very encouraging to hear that you've done surveys to find this out, because sometimes you don't know. And I've heard mostly from other people who have membership sites that the forums are actually a big component of the membership site. But now that you know that it's not, then maybe that's, you could put your energy and time into something else. And you have been, which is really awesome. And, I want to point out a couple things you mentioned in an email here when you listed all these bullet points of things we could talk about. And again, thank you for that. So you talked about lead pages and how that has helped you. So I'm an advisor for the company and I'm very excited about hearing that. So I'd love to hear how lead pages specifically has helped you.
Sure. I even pulled out some numbers for you today.
Nice.
I'm all over
I
it.
love numbers.
All right. So before I started using lead pages, I was getting about 20 new subscribers per day to my email list. And this was just through like a free giveaway on my website.
Like the same giveaway across the whole website?
Yeah. I maybe had a couple opt-in forms, but it was the same lead magnet or whatever.
Yep.
And then I listened to your podcast episode on lead pages.
Yep.
Are you noticing a theme? I listened to a lot of your podcasts.
That one is episode 78, probably, with Clay Collins.
Yep. I think it was that very first one you talked about it. And I was just like, okay, this makes total sense. I'm going to do this. So basically what I learned from that podcast was I can do a new giveaway with every blog post I put out. And then that's going to bring in more leads because people are going to be interested in something that's specific to that blog post. So like if I put a blog post out on how to teach the F sound, then my lead magnet for that one would be a whole set of flashcards of words that contain the F sound. So it makes a perfect complement to what they just read. So it's basically like, okay, here's how to do it. And here's the materials that will make it easier for you to do it. So I basically just made a new lead magnet for every blog post. And I went from 20 subscribers a day to 80 subscribers a day just doing that.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. And so that was the jump just when I started it. But now that I have a whole bunch of blog posts that have that and they're all bringing in SEO, now I'm at 191 subscribers per day.
What? Are you serious?
It's crazy.
That's so awesome. So it's kind of stacked on each other over time and are just helping you even more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the big key there too is that most people in my space right now in the speech therapy or speech pathology kind of niche, they are selling their small therapy materials for 99 cents or $1 or $2. There's actually a website called teacherspayteachers.com where you can go post things that you've made as an educator, and other educators can buy them. And so that's how most people are getting their materials. And so I'm coming along and giving the same quality of materials, but all you have to do is give me your email address. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
Right. And then they get into your email list, and then kind of what happens after that?
Well, I was using Aweber for a while, which is fantastic. I have no complaints with Aweber, but since I had 2 or 3 very distinct segments of my list. So I had parents that were coming to me, I had speech therapists that were coming to me, and then I had a small group of other educators or professionals, so occupational therapists or teachers and that kind of thing. So I kind of had these 3 distinct groups, and I was having trouble speaking to all of them differently. And what I really wanted to do was when they opted in for one of the free giveaways on Lead Pages, I wanted them to be automatically segmented into a list. And Lead Pages will let you do that, but Aweber would not integrate with that to let me do it.
Right.
So I went to Infusionsoft, and by this point I had a pretty big list anyway, so I was ready for some more sophisticated marketing tools. And so Infusionsoft let me put that radio dial on each opt-in box. So they say, yes, I want your giveaway. And then they had to pick if they're a speech therapist, a parent, or another educator. And so that helped me. When I did that, that helped my sales a lot because I was able to specifically target what those groups needed.
That's very cool. So you're having them self-segment as they're entering their email address.
Yes. Yeah. Because I had tried like having people segment after they got in, and people just didn't click, So I was like, well, if they have to in order to get it, then they're going to do it.
Yeah, very true.
So, I mean, I'm sure that turns a couple people away, but obviously I have enough people coming in that it's not a big deal.
And the programs that you sell, are you selling the same program to each of those different segments? You're just kind of framing it in a different way, or do you have specific products for those specific segments?
Yes and no. So the membership site is just for speech therapists.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because if I have a parent come in and say, hey, this is what my kid's doing, tell me what I should do, then I'm essentially doing speech therapy with that child over the internet. And in order to do that, I have to have a license in the state where the parent is, and I have to see that child face to face and have some FaceTime. It could be on the screen, but I would have to like set up an actual therapy session. And so in order to keep it ethical and not lose my license, that membership program is just open to speech therapists because they can just say, hey, what would you do with a kid like this? And I can say, I would do this. So
okay.
The membership site is just for speech therapists, but all of my ebooks are written in language that a parent could understand, but it's still helpful for a speech therapist. So that way I can use the same ebooks for all 3 segments, but I can market it differently.
That's very cool. I love that. I think segmenting is super smart. Infusionsoft obviously helps somebody do that. Infusionsoft was too complicated for me, so I used ConvertKit for that. But there's a lot of other tools that do that too. So I think that's great. And then the other thing you mentioned here that I want to talk about is related to how you've been able to partner with other people in the same space as you, which I think is obviously very important for anybody in any niche. You want to get to know who the other players are so that you can share each other's resources, but also, JV and partner with them in terms of promotion. So how have you been able to do that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have to say, like, for the first couple years that I was doing this, I was so nervous to approach other people in my space because I just thought, oh, they're going to think I'm like trying to, edge in on their space.
Steal their stuff or whatever.
Yeah, like, I just didn't feel confident enough in what I was doing. But recently I had another guy, his name is Luke, and he does homespeechhome.com. And so we pretty much are targeting the exact same market, but he's more into apps and I'm more into the ebooks and the membership portion. And so we started talking and we were like, I feel like there's a lot that we could do together to kind of build off of each other's momentum. And we're pretty much at the same level in our businesses. So we decided to do a speech therapalooza,
Speech Therapalooza is like
I
an
named
event?
It. Yes.
That's awesome.
So we made an online event, and it wasn't like a conference. It was more like just a fun hangout. So we used Google Hangouts, and we did Google Hangouts on air. And we had about 3 or 4 other speech therapy bloggers come on with us. And we all just went round robin and talked about some fun ideas for back to school. So it was around back to school time. And we got on and we just had a bunch of fun and talked about our resources. And we each told about a bunch of free stuff and then pitched one of our products that are our paid ones. And we had, I think, 3,000 people watch that hangout.
So you were each kind of promoting it to your audiences for this kind of big event leading up to it.
Yeah, so that was a huge success, and we all got tons of traffic from each other's websites. So Luke and I are setting up another one this month because the National Speech Therapy Conference is next week, and neither Luke or I can go because we both have young children, and it's really expensive to go get a booth there and all of that. So what we decided to do was some networking at the event without going. So we have set up a Facebook group, and it is the unofficial ASHA 2015 photo scavenger hunt. So all throughout the conference, we're going to be posting photo challenges for the people that are at the conference that are going to be things like go to this booth and take a picture, or take a picture of somebody with the same first name as you on your name tags. And then they enter to win prizes. Fun. So we got a whole bunch of other bloggers in our niche to participate with us and give prizes away. So they will have the ability to have people go to their booth to enter the contest, or pull up their website, something like that. And then we're going to have alternative challenges for speech therapists that aren't going to ASHA, so we can even reach a wider audience. And we just started promoting that group, and we already have like 192 people in it. So I think it's going to be fabulous. That's
really fun. That's so cool. And it's just interesting because, coming from somebody who was working in schools a while back to now creating Speech Therapalooza in your own stuff, like what does that feel like to know that you're like doing this on your own?
Oh, it's so fun. The reason I got into speech therapy was because I love helping people and I love creating things. I'm a very creative person. And so being able to create things that help way more people than I ever would have reached in the schools is just like the ultimate and rewarding. I am just feel so fulfilled with what I do now.
So proud. That's awesome. And the last thing I have to ask you is, you mentioned that you had a mindset shift a while back with your business, and you decided to see how you could 10x your goals. And I think this is a big lesson. I think I want to end on this because it's just something that we should all be doing, because we always underestimate our goals, and we always try and just limit ourselves in terms of how far we can go. And so you decided at one point to 10x your goals. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I have to give credit to Grant Cardone on this. David from my mastermind groups will be really mad if I don't, because he's the one that told me to read the book.
Yeah.
But I read the 10X rule, and although I do think that Grant Cardone is a little bit harsh in the way he approaches things, I really liked his idea of thinking about, instead of just taking your goal to where you think it needs to be, try to shoot for 10X, because even if you fail, you're still probably going to go over what you were originally planning on making as your goal. So, for example, when I read this book, I had been thinking, well, man, if I could get to 10,000 a month by December of 2015, that would just be incredible. I would really like that. And then I read the book and I thought, okay, well, let's 10x it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get to 100,000 a month by December, which sounds ridiculous. But I read that and decided on that in August, and August was the month that I made $10,000. So in my mind, what happened was, instead of thinking, okay, what could I do to earn an extra $200? It was, oh man, I've got to make a lot of money this month. Okay, what could I do that would take the same amount of time but would earn me $2,000? And so it was a total mindset shift of, instead of thinking of this as my side job of like, okay, well, this is just something I'm doing on the side to make a little extra money. It was, okay, if this was the premier speech therapy website in the world, what would I be doing? And I thought, well, I sure as heck wouldn't be doing my own website design anymore, because I'm terrible at design and the website looked awful. So Actually, this was about the time that I was on the One Day Business Breakthrough podcast, because you and Chris were looking over my website and you guys were, you were like, well, it looks like you've got everything here, but it's really hard to find stuff. And I had taken Amy Porterfield's Profit Lab course, and she was also talking about how, design was kind of a challenge and trying to find things. And I just thought, why am I still doing this? If this was the number one speech therapy website in the world, I'd hire someone to do that. So I hired somebody to redesign my website, and it looks amazing now. I hired somebody to do my social media. I hired somebody to help me answer emails because I had way too many of those. And I hired somebody to help me make my email autoresponders better. So I started hiring out more and more and just changed my mindset of, instead of just, okay, what can I do on my own to try to make a little bit of money, to what can I build a team to help me create this vast empire almost. So that was kind of my mindset shift.
I love it. I love how it just changed the actions that you wanted to take from that point forward. And I think this is something, I know this is something that I know that I've done very well. It's, taking those big, bold actions. Because if you don't take those big, bold actions, you're not going to get big, bold results.
Exactly.
And so, Carrie, just thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your story and all the tips. And it's just, man, I'm so proud of you. And I can't wait to hear how far you go with this. And we'll have to have you back on at some point to talk about everything you've done since then, or since
awesome.
today.
Yeah.
So keep rocking it out. And thank you, because I know this has inspired a lot of people. And, as far as I know, this is scheduled to be the first podcast of 2016.
Woo-hoo!
And so I want to thank you for that. And I think we're off to a great start here. And my book should be coming out soon too. So I look forward to sharing that with everybody. And man, this is awesome. Carrie, so where can people find out more about you and just see what you're up to?
Okay, you can go to speechandlanguagekids.com, and that is my hub. It's got all my stuff there. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. You can just search me for Speech and Language Kids. But most of my stuff is over there on the website, so head on over there.
Awesome. And the website does look great.
Yeah, it looks so much better than it did.
I remember, because I actually hadn't seen it for a while, and it does look so much better. So well done.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Keep up the great work, Carrie. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye.
All right, Carrie, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And for everybody else out there who wants to share their success story, all you have to do is send an email to pat@smartpassiveincome.com and put success story in the subject line. My executive assistant, Jessica, will put those in a specific folder. And when it comes time to look at those success stories to include them here on the podcast, I go through those and I find the best ones to share because I know you guys love these, and I hope you love this one too. So again, Carrie, thank you so much for your time. If you want to get all the links and show notes to this episode, head on over to smartpassiveincome.com/session195. Again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/session195. And we're off. This is the start of the new year. A lot of great stuff coming. You'll hear some stuff related to my upcoming book in the next couple weeks, because that is launching on February 1st. So really quick, if you want to check out where that's at now, head on over to willitflybook.com. Again, that's a willitflybook.com. I'm so excited about that. Oh my gosh. But we'll talk more about that later. Also, I want to take a quick moment just to thank you. I don't know if you realize this, but you, the listeners, have made a massive impact on the direction of where Smart Passive Income has gone. As a result of you, I've been interviewing certain guests that you've recommended. As a result of your recommendations, I've been tackling different topics that are of high interest to you. In addition to that, I created a brand new podcast called Ask Pat, which you may have heard of before. And on that show, I answer voicemail questions from you as well. You can actually check that out at askpat.com. But that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you. Obviously, Ask Pat, there needs to be questions in addition to my answers in order to make that show a success. And I'm so thankful that it's there, and I have you to thank for that. I also have you to thank for pushing me to create some online courses to help you through a number of the different problems and pains that you might be having with your online business, the scaling of it, just even the start and the process of it. Even though there's a lot of great free information here via the podcast, I know this from my own experience as well, courses can be life-changing because you purchase a course and you are just in that mindset of actually doing that thing that course tells you to do. And I have a number of different courses available to you if that's the kind of thing you need in order to actually finally start getting results and taking action. So I know a number of you have already taken action, which is fine. Like, I'm not trying to push these courses on you, but they are there and available for those of you who would much prefer to get that
targeted information and the accountability and the hand-holding through those processes. So if you want to check out and see all the courses that are available to you, all you have to do is go to smartpassiveincome.com/courses. That's a page that's going to continually grow over time as well. So keep checking back, smartpassiveincome.com/courses. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you there. Thank you so much. I look forward to serving you not only in the next episode, but all throughout this year, both on the podcast and on the blog and on SPI TV. Again, like I said, a lot of great stuff coming, not just the book, and I hope you are ready because I'm ready. Cheers, take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.